And we are live. Welcome to another episode of Ballin in the Boot, and it's quarterfinal time. We're going to find out how smart or stupid I look after earlier this week in picking all of these games. But it's going to be another great show. We got a lot of great guests coming on for the next 2 hours, and we'll talk about some high school football around the state of Louisiana. And on this Friday night, might as well start things off, kick things off with a victorious football coach tonight. And we're going to start things off with the Ascension Catholic Bulldogs. Like I mentioned, if you're on the show over the course of the season, that means you're doing something right. That means you're winning games. And if you're on the show at this point of the year, that's a really good sign because that means you punch your ticket to the semifinals. And our first guest on tonight is Ascension Catholic head football coach Taylor James. Coach James, congratulations. Your first year with the Bulldogs, and what a year it's been as the Ascension Catholic Bulldogs have punched their ticket to the semifinals after an exciting game tonight, 50-42 win over Catholic Pointe Coupee.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, let's go and break this one down. We talked a little bit before we went on air tonight about this one. I kind of knew going in when we had our previous show on Tuesday, talking to Madison Prep with the LHSAA Network. I knew you had Trevin Simon. I knew they had June Morrison. Kind of adding things together. I knew it was probably going to be this type of game, kind of like whoever gets the ball last wins. These are two great offenses, and I know there was a little bit of an offensive show at Pointe Coupee tonight.
Yeah, man, those guys are a really great football team, man. It came down to the fourth quarter, and proud of our guys, man, fighting every tooth and nail. You know, we talked about coming out of halftime. This game's going to come down to 4 or 5 plays. You know, at this time of the year, that's what it's all about. It's supposed to be like that, you know. But it did. The game came down to 4 or 5 plays right there at the end, and our kids stepped up and gutted one out against a really good Catholic Pointe Coupee team, man.
Yeah, 50-42, your final score. Ascension Catholic defeats Catholic Pointe Coupee to reach the semifinals, and we'll talk about who they'll play and all of that later. But first, let's talk about this win. You talked about it's going to come down to 4 or 5 different plays, and it really helps when you get a guy like Trevin Simon making a lot of plays for you this year. We talked about a whole lot going into the season, even at our media day before the season, and then one of the biggest headlines we talked about was like, okay, who's going to replace Chad Elsey? And not only found a replacement, but he's showing off and being all of Chad's records. We thought it would be tough to beat. He's also made some all-time records. But a big game for Trevin tonight. You said, 400 yards rushing tonight or something like that?
Yeah, it was reported 400 was the spot.
Man, he has been on a tear all season long. And you talked about Trevin, and we knew that he was going to be in for a great year, and I'm sure you did too. Did you think it would be this good this year?
Man, I don't think anybody thinks you put up numbers like this. You know, when you start getting in, all-time single season records in Louisiana, man, like that's rare air. You know, obviously we're super excited for Trevin, man. We're super proud of him. We're super proud of the work he's put in to get here. But man, it's sometimes you gotta pinch yourself when you watch him. Like, golly, man, he's having a great year, you know. And we couldn't be more happy for him. We couldn't be more proud of him.
I was joking with you before we started the show, and I told you, like, I know Chad was there at the game tonight, and you know, if I was Chad, I would probably like joke with Trevin, like get a stab at him, like, hey man, like I graduated, it took me this much to be all these records and set all these records, and you're gonna take that away from me after 1 year. So I would probably joke with him as well, a little friendly fire. But
I told him after. I said yes, he did. Yes, he did. I told Chad after the game. I said, man, if you wanna come back for one more, you know, I'll take both of you on the same outfit. I'll take both of you. Man, like I said, both of those kids are obviously great football players, but both just great kids too, man. Chad's he's texted Trevin on the way, congratulations, on breaking his records, and then tonight Trevin breaking the school touchdown record as well, held by Jai Williams. So man, those are 2 names not to scoff at, when it comes to running backs in the state of Louisiana.
Yeah, you mentioned. I mean, Ascension Catholic. No matter what, it seems like no matter what in Donaldsonville, I don't know what they're feeding down there in Donaldsonville. Or what goes down there. Every year they're going to produce a really
Yeah.
great running back. It's just what it is at Ascension Catholic. But when you get a record like that, we talk about the number of yards and the touchdowns. But Trevin obviously has to feel good. But what can
Yeah.
you say about the offensive line? Because
Oh
that's
man,
kind of a record for them as
not enough.
well.
Not enough. Anytime your offensive line is telling you run it here, and the one beside across them saying no, run it behind me, and then they're going back and forth in the huddle, and you almost got to break. Hey guys, we're just gonna run it. Let's just get the first down, all right? You're doing a good job up front, but man, those guys just show up with their lunch pail every single day. They take pride in playing as a unit, and we hang our hat on those guys up front. And that's how I want this team to be built. That's where I want that's what I want our identity to be as a football team. Man, Trevin does a great job, and those guys up front are some really, really good, unselfish football players as well, man. And they play together really well. Couldn't be more proud of those guys.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, it's a total unit, the total team effort, to get a record like that. So, how many touchdowns was that for him tonight? I know you talked about the yardage, but how many of those
Um,
touchdowns was he scored tonight?
I believe he had it was 5 or 6. They told me
Okay,
he's at 50. It had to be 6. It had to be 6 tonight.
six
They told
touchdowns
me he
tonight.
was yeah. They told me he's at 52 rushing, and I believe it was 54 total now, something like that. But
Wow.
a lot to lose count of. That's what it is right now. A lot to lose count of.
Yeah, and we talk about the records and everything, but you talked about it. I mean, Chad last year kind of flew under the radar, ended up going to Kentucky State, and kind of the same thing with Trevin. It's kind of a travesty, to be honest with you, because he's definitely good enough to play for sure. You see all the numbers he's put up to play at the next level. And talk about the recruiting process and how that's really picked up a little bit for Trevin over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, just the unfortunate landscape of college football right now.
Hmm.
It's just a lot of these high school kids fly under the radar, and they get overlooked a lot. And it's just kind of the nature of the beast right now. It's unfortunate because you have a lot of great running backs like Chad, like Trevin, that are flying under the radar. And I'm gonna say it right now: somebody's gonna get a steal in their program with Trevin Simon. I mean, Kentucky State. They did a great job. Those coaches did a great job, going and getting Chad, and ended up having a historic season over there. And somebody's going to get something similar to that with Trevin Simon because he's a program changer.
Absolutely, for sure, Coach. I know we talk about the offensive line a lot. I know we talked about Trevin a lot. What were some other players or some key contributors tonight that you were pretty proud of for their performance tonight and helping y'all get this win?
Yeah, I mean, our tight end, Chris Anthem, stepped up, made a really big play on third down at tight end tonight to get the chains moving in a very pivotal situation in the game. And then, just using him in a lot of different ways in the passing game and the run game as a weapon. And then defensively, man, we rolled our neck in the thing. I really challenged those guys at halftime, and they come out in the second half and they give up 6 points. One score off the rip in the third quarter, and that was it. Goose egg after that. The rest of the game to allow us to kind of, put the hammer down and go play. Josh Walker's a big staple on that defensive line. And Cole Ball stepped up with a big-time sack and fumble tonight that allowed us to run the clock out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely, and allowed y'all to hang tough, like you talked about before we came on. I know you're really impressed with Catholic Pointe Coupee and their quarterback, June Morrison, and I
Yes.
know it's tough to get this one. You knew this was going to be tough. Anytime you're playing at this time of year, you're practicing during Thanksgiving week. Everybody's good at this
Yep.
point of the year, but just your thoughts on Catholic Pointe Coupee and getting a win over Coach Crew's squad tonight.
Yeah, Coach Cruz, man, they do a great job. Quarterback's a heck of a football player, man. He's a gamer. Can't say enough good things about that kid. He's a warrior, man. There was a lot of times tonight I looked over like, goodness gracious, can we get this guy on the ground, please?
Mhm.
Because he's just a tough, hard-nosed, gritty football player. Another guy that's kind of under the radar. He's about as good as quarterback as we've seen. We've seen some good ones this year, but he's up there, man, with that group of some of the higher tier quarterbacks we've seen. Just a tough, hard-nosed kid, man. They do a great job up front offensively, defensively, and man, those kids on their linebacking core, I was very impressed with the group of linebackers that they have, man. Tough, hard-nosed kids, and they did a good job. They made some plays that I felt they were at, that I thought we had an advantage on in the third and fourth quarter. That, man, they just, they kind of scrape over the top and make a really good football play on a back like Trevin or Josh Barber when we had him back there, or on the quarterback Greg Fernandez in the run game. Man, they just made some really good football plays. But, man, can't say enough good things about them. That was a really good football team that we played tonight, man. Hats off to them. I went and found Jude after the game and told him, man, do not put your head down, man. That was a heck of a football game, and you have nothing to put your head down about.
Absolutely, for sure. I mean, well said there, Coach. And I know you're enjoying this one. Anytime you win the playoffs, you go deep in the playoffs, you want to enjoy that win. You get the quarterfinals. You practice during Thanksgiving week. You're soaking that in, and you punch your ticket to the semis. And I know you're enjoying this one, but I know you're also kind of keeping one eye enjoying this one, and one eye looking forward to the next one. And that's Westminster Christian, the number 1 seed in the semifinals, for a chance to go to the Superdome. So your early thoughts on Westminster? I've seen them play this year. I've been really impressed. You talk about a good quarterback. They got a good quarterback, and obviously a running back show. I mean, Kyle Horde and Trevin Simon. If you like running back play, this is going to be a great one as well. Your early thoughts
it'll be a good one
on this game?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, at this point in time, everybody's good. Going into next week, you have the 4 best teams in the state doing it out, and I would say 4 of the better teams in the state of Louisiana as a whole going to go duke this thing out in the semifinals in Division 4 Select. And Westminster Opelousas, man, is having an unbelievable year. They have a really great coaching staff. Actually, Coach Porter, offensive coordinator Coach Porter, and myself played together in college. So friendship there. We've known each other for a long time. But they do an unbelievable job. And, man, those guys, they can play. They got a great, like you said, great quarterback, great running back. They do a great job at receiver. Defensively, man, they're tough, they're hard-nosed, and they'll fight you to the end, on both sides of the ball. They're not the number 1 seed for no reason. They're a great football team, and it's going to be a great football game between us. Hopefully next week, man, we got to travel over there for those guys. And like I said, at this point in time in the year, that's what you play for. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely, Coach. Congratulations on the win. Punching your ticket to the semifinals, getting a big win tonight over Catholic Pointe Coupee. And just your overall thoughts. You ever thought coming your first year? I know there's always a lot of high expectations at Ascension Catholic and being around the program, but just for your first year to lead this team to the semifinals, and just what year it's been for your first year.
Yeah, anytime it's your first, it's always a learning experience. It's a learning opportunity. Every time you do something, it's for the first time. So it's been a ride. It's what I signed up for. I knew what I was taking on when I came to Ascension Catholic. I knew what I was the expectations and what I wanted to do, and I wanted that challenge. But I've enjoyed it. Man, I hope we're a long ways from done. But anytime that you're doing something for the first time, it's always a learning curve. There's always something you can take away from it and get better at. That's kind of my goal as a coach, just like as our team. I want to get better each and every week as well. And going into year 2, hopefully in about 3 weeks, going into year 2, I've got my feet underneath me, and I've done something for the second time now, and as a coach, I grow as well. So, man, I've enjoyed it. It's been great for me. My family has enjoyed it. We love being at Ascension Catholic, and man, sometimes you go through that journey and you forget to step back sometimes and smell the roses. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Sitting back and enjoying being around this team, being with these kids, being with this community, going to work. I don't want to get lose sight of the forest for the trees, if you will. So, man, I've enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to a lot more memories.
Absolutely, Coach. Well, I know you're driving, so stay safe. We're out there, and Have a safe drive back. And, Coach, congratulations on the great season. And hopefully we talk next week. That means
that's right,
this is
baby.
some even better things, if we
That's
talk
right,
next
man.
week.
That's right, man. We gotta go back to work tomorrow and start preparing for a really good football team. And man, I appreciate it. I hope we get to talk again next week.
Oh yeah, that's a good sign. That means you're going to the Superdome if we're talking next week. So, Coach, congratulations on the victory. Go enjoy this one and start getting ready for those Crusaders for sure next round.
That's right. Thank you, man. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. Love to hear it. Taylor James, Victoria's head football coach tonight for Ascension Catholic. Starting off the bat, 50-42, a big win for the Ascension Catholic Bulldogs over the Catholic Pointe Coupee Hornets. 6 touchdowns, over 400 yards rushing from the running back, Trevin Simon. He has been a baller all season long. So we're going to come from a head coach. We're going to talk to one of my guys. Hey, Southeastern Lion, we got to keep our Southeastern guys intact. We got to talk to our guys. So especially Lucas Hill. I promised Lucas to get on the show, and Lucas is on the show, man. What's going on, man?
We had to bring a special guest on for a little bit, Jace. Everybody say hello to Finley, but
hey, Finley.
But no, Jace, good to see you, buddy. Been a heck of a week in high school football. Kind of sad for my alum falling a little short this week. But
man,
I will say this: expectations have changed greatly with David Semino at the helm.
Oh, absolutely! And I even picked the Wildcats to win. Your Wildcats to win earlier this week, but it's one of those things. I didn't want to go against either guy. I didn't want to go against David Semino. I didn't want to go against David Burton. And it just happened to David Burton and Zachary. I just learned my lesson. David Burton is just one of those coaches you don't want to go against in November. And no matter what the regular season may hold, when they play football in November, just watch out because the Broncos are as tough as it gets. They just seem to turn it up a notch when they get to that part of the season.
Yeah, I mean, this has been nothing new for them, knowing what Brewerton has led a program like that. And for a team that thought, okay, we saw what happened last year, it was kind of a down year for Zachary. And for them to reload like they did this year, the amount of talent that they have, guys that were sophomores that have stepped up big time that are now juniors and seniors this year, it's just been a completely different season for Zachary.
Yeah, it has, and they lost actually the regular season game, and Central won that game. But it just comes to show you that it's tough to beat a good team twice, especially when it was that close the first time around. But I believe the game you covered tonight. Well, we have to start things off with Central and Zachary because I know you graduated at Central. Central's the defending state champs, and we'll talk about that game later in the show. But you covered tonight. It was Jewel Sumner and Calvary Baptist. And I believe the final score, Calvary went with 14-7. Was that the final score tonight?
Yes.
Okay, so Calvary Baptist wins the football game 14-7. But that is the surprising part to me. Not that Calvary Baptist won this game, but they won the game 14-7. You would think if there was a game that was won 14-7, I would have certainly thought Jewel Sumner would win this football game if it was 14-7. But you were there. Talk about how this went down and how Calvary Baptist was able to win this game, usually in the style that we've seen Jewel Sumner win these games.
You and I talked during the week, Jace, about this, and the one thing that Jewel Sumner was going to have to do to pull off a massive victory, especially against a team like Calvary Baptist, that you can correct me if I'm wrong, this is now their 5th straight trip to the state semifinals.
Yeah.
So you talk about the history that they have and the type of athletes that they have. Obviously, when you talk about a guy like Braylon Huglon, who's obviously got a lot of Power 4 offers, he had 1 catch tonight. So they were able to limit him. It turned into a trench battle. It was a battle of whose line of scrimmage was going to dominate and going to get the last laugh when it was all said and done. And at the end of the day, despite it kind of being an undersized offensive line, Calvary Baptist held their own. I mean, when you have guys in the backfield like Delancey Street and Zarian Miles, both who averaged over probably 4 or 5 yards of carry, and both had 150 yards on the ground. Both were very key to pulling out a victory. I'll tell you what, how about the young sophomore Hudson Price coming out and, taking over for a guy like Abram Wardell, who's now playing college football. You and I covered him last year, and we saw the amount of talent that left from that Calvary Baptist team. But it's regrouped and reloading for the Cavaliers. Tough way to lose for Jewel Sumner. Undefeated season, their second straight year winning a district title. I give Coach Curry a lot of credit for what he's done ever since he first got there. They were 1-9 in his first year, and to see where they are now, it just says a lot about the development of that program and where they're going to be for the next couple of years. But second straight year of a heartbreak in the semifinal or in the quarterfinals, but hopefully they can finally get over the top, man. But huge win for Calvary Baptist, huge momentum booster going back to Shreveport with Notre Dame coming up.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. That should be a great matchup of Notre Dame and Calvary. But you talked about it last year. I mean, we called that game, and we were up in Shreveport and called that Episcopal game and Calvary game. Braylon Hugon, that was kind of like one of those games. It was like this coming out party. Having a game like that, you took over that entire game. But for him to be shut out, I mean, that really shows you how good of a job Jewel Sumner did. But Calvary found a way to win. It seems like this year that because of all those guys, Avery Wardell and replacing all those guys last year, that they're flying under the radar a little bit and not really getting as much of love as they got last year. And maybe that's making them even scarier because they did end up losing that next game against Catholic New Iberia that next round. And maybe Calvary is one of those more dangerous this year because maybe they're flying a little bit more on the radar than they usually do.
It seems so, and it feels like they went under the radar when it came to where they were placed in the playoffs. It felt like they could have been a much higher seed than 6, knowing their one loss was to Neville on the road. And seeing the rest of the season, when you get dominating victories over teams like Union Parish, who's playing in the state semifinals, over Oak Grove and Franklin Parish as well. So, yeah, I would have to agree with you. Just that's a team that's been flying under the radar most of the season, and truly they're going to have to get these underrated names that haven't really gotten their names called out as much or don't have the stars by it. You're going to have to see those names really start to step up, and we certainly saw that tonight.
And moving on, looking at the other side for Jewel Sumner, this is a team I was really high on. I actually picked Jewel Sumner to even win this game. I really felt that good about Jewel Sumner this year with their running backs. We talk about the two-headed monster they have, and then a quarterback that's moved from tight end to quarterback this year, a big quarterback as well. They're going to run the football, and their defense is really stout too. Coach Career does a great job with that program, but this is a core team that went to the quarterfinals last year. They made it back this year, and you feel like this was a senior group. Jamon Dyson was one of those guys as well, running the football, playing linebacker for them too. It felt like that this was kind of like an all-in type of year for Jewel Sumner, and for them to lose this game must be really heartbreaking, knowing the fashion that they lost in a 14-7, kind of their style type of game. But must be heartbreaking knowing for those seniors to go undefeated, have the special season they've had, and losing that fashion at home.
Yeah, it definitely was tough, Jace. And I mean, like I mentioned already, second straight year, it's kind of been a heartbreaking end to a season that Sumner's had. 2 really, really good seasons. And when you go a combined, I believe they went a combined 20-2 the last 2 years. The 2 losses last year, and then obviously your first loss of the season this year. And I thought they had chances to go down the field and win this game. But they struggled with dropped passes, Jace. You have on the first possession of the game, it's 3rd down, and it's a beautifully thrown ball trying to go to one of the receivers, and it just slips through his hands. He has a one-on-one on a deep post and just slips right through his hands, and that's a missed opportunity there. you have a drive right before halftime when you're down 14-0. You have an opportunity to put 7 to at least keep yourself within a possession going into halftime. And you have a guy wide open in the flats trying to get it out to, I believe it might have been Jeremiah Brooks, and he drops the football. Those plays come back to haunt you, and certainly did for Jewel Sumner. You also have another drive where you're driving down the field. You have a great drop. They took off, I swear, Jace, they had, I think, 3 or 4 drives that took off 4 to 5 minutes off the clock. And I believe 3 of those drives ended in two turnover on downs and an interception, which pretty much destroyed all momentum that Jewel Sumner was trying to get in the second half. But again, like you said, love Coach Currier, love what he's doing with that program, and it's only up from here. And obviously with a senior-laden class, like you mentioned, it sucks for guys like Jeremiah Brooks and Jamon Dyson, both of which were kind of the workhorses at running back and really kind of toting the load for what was a really good rushing attack that Jewel Sumner had. And, that defense, they came to play. Calvary Baptist, they're no stranger to having athletes on the field, and they really did a great job of being able to contain them and gang tackling throughout the majority of the game and keeping this within, a possession and keeping it to a low-scoring game against Calvary Baptist, knowing the type of offenses that they've shown in years past. That's saying something about how much of a dogfight that this game was.
Yeah, it really was. 14-7, Calvary Baptist. They survive and advance and move on. And you talk about playing against Notre Dame. Next round, Notre Dame able to defeat Lafayette Renaissance tonight. We'll go into all the scores later in the show, but just your early thoughts on that one before we kind of wrap up the conversation tonight.
Yeah, another tough road trip for Calvary Baptist. Another 3.5, 4-hour road trip after Crowley. Better come to play. Notre Dame's been in a couple of dog fights themselves. I'm really intrigued to see another line of scrimmage battle. It's been a tight postseason for the Pioneers as well, and I'm expecting another great one in Division III. I think the winner of this next game is probably going to be your state champion.
Okay.
Just knowing both defenses and how they have fared throughout the entire season, I think it's going to be one of those types of battles, Jace, that we see really come down to the wire, similar to what we saw tonight. And I'm really excited to see a game like this.
Yeah, and that's a bold statement as well, because you look at the top side of the bracket, man. You got LCA and Dunham on the other side of the bracket. So, that is going to be a really, really good matchup. So, but it should be a tough, hard-nosed type of style football game in Louis Cook, Notre Dame. So, yeah, it should be a good one. And just, any final thoughts of what's going on with you, Lucas? And do you have an idea where you're going next week? You're still trying to figure out all the scores and figure out everything?
I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm looking at either maybe I might take a trip out to Baton Rouge or New Orleans for either ULAB or never mind. I thought Lab was playing at home, but we might end up either somewhere.
You're making the drive to St. Charles Catholic. This one plus. You can probably still go.
I might make a trip out to Riverside.
Yeah, Riverside.
That's a nice one. Either that or New Orleans. So one of the two, Jace.
Okay. I got to see what my BSN schedule is like if I'm calling a game next week, or, if not, see my Gridiron schedule as well. But, man, we got some really good ones. And we had a Comet here. Neville beat Barb 40-0. OCF's lost pretty bad. Oak Grove lost bad. That's the game I called tonight. St. James and Oak Grove. We'll talk about that as well. But St. James offense, man. I don't know if there's going to be any teams that are going to slow the Wildcats down. That's for sure.
Let me ask you this. When you compare St. James's offense this year to the last 2 years that they've been in the Dome, where would you rank this one?
Man, I think they're better. To be honest with you. I'm that hot. Like Jawan Jackson at the quarterback position. Like Jawan's playing really good. I mean, he threw some passes 40, 50 yards downfield that, I mean, were hit in the breadbasket. And they weren't in bad coverage. Oak Grove is a good defense, and they scored on every drive against Oak Grove except the final possession. They were just trying to bleed the clock with a backup quarterback. So St. James, you got the Villanova brothers, where everybody knows about Jakias, but his younger brother was the running back, and he scored 4 touchdowns tonight. Wow. They got so many different weapons, so many guys. I lost track about how many guys scored tonight. They are the real deal. And I know Aiden's saying that Sterlington will beat St. James. And I have a lot of respect for Sterlington. Obviously, they won that game in the Superdome last year, 35-28. But I think it's a little bit of a different St. James team than last year. So, but they do have to make the travel up to Sterlington. So that is a tough drive to make the drive up. But I know that they got some revenge as well. So Lucas, man, maybe join us on Tuesday for a preview show. Make some picks next week, maybe.
Sounds good, Jace, man. I appreciate you having me on, man. Have a great rest of the night, and we'll try and see you next week.
That sounds good. And line up, baby. Those Southeastern Lions got themselves a playoff berth, huh?
I'll be there tomorrow.
There we go. Keep me posted. Keep me posted on how those Lions are doing. So Lucas Hill joined us here tonight, doing a great job of covering high school football in those Southeastern Lions. Got to give my guys some love. I know Lucas Lucas is graduated at Central, so his Wildcats lost tonight. But I know we're about to have another coach come on momentarily. And before that, I know we got some. I know, Condarian, I know you want to come on the show and brag about the Green Devils because they deserve their flowers. I'm trying to get Coach Williams. I'm trying to see if Coach Williams can join us tonight to talk about it. But man, I mean, domination. That's exactly what y'all wanted. Y'all were hungry. Y'all were wanting it, and man, y'all got it. A big win over Cecilia tonight. We'll go over all the scores. I know we got an Iowa shout out. Reagan Green, appreciate Reagan commenting on the show. How about them Iowa Yellow Jackets? We have unfinished business in the semis. Yep, yes, y'all do. Big win tonight over Lutcher. Hey, call that one right. I got the Yellow Jackets winning that football game to beat Lutcher. So big win for Coach Johns. I'm trying to get Coach Johns. I know Coach Johns been on the show before, so let's see if we get Coach Johns on the show. As we'll be here till 1 o'clock. Yeah, Sterlington averaging 54 points per game. Yeah, and they put up 71 against Donaldsonville. So yeah, we'll see. Justin, keep the comments going. We love it. North DeSoto 1-0, nothing bigger anybody else anywhere. Yeah, North DeSoto's a good offense. That should be a good one. Speaking of good offenses, good teams, let's go and talk to the U-High Cubs. We got Andy Martin join me on the show tonight. Coach, I know we didn't call the game for VSN tonight, but it looks like that good mojo from last week carried over tonight against Madison Prep, especially the first game we called. But Coach, congratulations on the victory. I know it's that old mantra. It's hard to beat a really good team twice, and y'all were able to do that tonight against Madison Prep.
Yeah, our guys played really hard. I think it was a complete win for us on all sides of the ball, offense, defense, special teams. Everybody kind of had a role in it, and I'm so proud of our guys, just the preparation they put in. And you're right, it is tough to beat a team like that twice because they're a really good football team. So I'm really excited for our guys.
It's like you kind of sweat that one out. Like, man, thank God we're done with those pesky Chargers. I tell you that. But the final score, definitely a lot more high scoring than the first game we called. It was 14-8 last time, but it was 32-30. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. The offenses kind of showed up tonight on both sides, which is awesome to see.
Absolutely. Kind of make up for the last game, but it shows you get a little bit of everything, especially the talent that's on the field tonight. I heard that Sage had himself a pretty good game tonight. I think he was the LHSAA Network MVP tonight, but obviously we've been really high on Sage. I know we went to one of our camps in the off season this year. I know he's going to be one of the leading guys, but talk about Sage and how he was able to lead the Cubs on the ground game tonight.
Yeah, he had a really good game. Our offensive line did a good job of opening up some holes, and Sage hit it really hard and really made a couple guys miss. He had a couple home runs on some of his runs, but he just ran the ball really hard, and that's a big part. Is sometimes the hole wasn't there, and he kind of lowered his head and got through it. And those yards add up towards the end of the game. You start wearing teams out, and I think he was able to kind of do that. And by the time the fourth quarter came, he really started to bust a few. So just proud of him continuing to work. I think he's one of the most underrated guys in the state at running back right now. I really do believe that, and I'm hoping that somebody's to come in and give him an opportunity.
Oh, I think so. I think he's definitely going to get his opportunity for sure, Coach. And obviously, that's one aspect of it. But what were some other key plays or impact players or plays from tonight that allowed y'all to squeak by and get that win?
I think our defense gave up some big plays, but also made some turnovers. I think we had one interception, 2 fumble recoveries. And offense was just we played finally a game where we're playing off one another, and our defense was struggling, giving up a few big plays, and our offense stepped up and made some big plays. Lawson Dixon took a hitch to the house from about 60 out, and then we had some big runs. So I felt like every time our defense was kind of in a bind, our offense would step up. And then when our offense was in a bind, our defense would step up, and our special teams, as usual, did a great job. And so I think just a total team win by all of our guys.
Yeah, I mean, complimentary football, right? Just like every phase of the game, picking up the slack, when it's needed. But you talked about Lawson Dixon. It just seems like he's just so fun to watch. I mean, you throw like a little hitch route to him, and he can take a 5-yard play into like an 80-yard touchdown. It seems like that's the ability he has. I mean, talk about how he's really helped, a guy like Ethan, to settle in at the quarterback position over the year.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we knew that he was going to have a big year coming into this year, and I think, the fact that he's have the opportunity to go play at Southeastern, they're getting a steal from him because he's a really good player, and he can't wait to see him. This week they'll be signing and doing all that stuff. So excited for him. But no, Loss just does so much for us. He had to come in and play a little bit of defense tonight too, and did a good job there. So special teams, just wherever we put him, wherever he is, he just does a great job.
And speaking of big time guys and guys that were on sign eventually and all that, I heard was a Lamar even got himself a forced fumble tonight or a big play tonight.
Yeah, he had a couple big hits, but especially the last one, he was able to strip sack the quarterback, and we recovered it to seal the game. So he had an outstanding game. He played a lot of reps tonight, both offense, defensively, and some special teams for us. So just an unbelievable player, but even better kid in what he does for our program.
Yeah, especially, and it shows you like you keep them fresh on defense, and then you just put them in there and make a play like that at a time like that. It's great to get your best guys, because I know that was one of the things he wanted to commit early, but because of he wants to win the state championship, and to make a play like that in that moment to help his team go to the semis, that's really big for sure. But Coach, were you surprised considering how that first game went? That was a little bit more higher scoring, or was it kind of like par for the course? You kind of an idea that would be this type of game, or what are your thoughts on how the game actually was tonight?
I felt like the offense were going to catch up this game. I really did. I actually told the paper that on our interview for the paper yesterday. I just felt like the offense were due on both sides. There were too many good athletes on both sides to try to keep both offense out of the end zone, and I felt like, and it pretty much went like that. Both sides hit some big plays, which the defenses didn't really give up that much throughout the year. But again, you're going against two good offenses that know how to score. And I felt like both sides, it was a grudge match on both sides. And they both, give their kids credit too, that they played their butts off. They really did. I mean, like on both sides, you saw, there were fumbles and things like that. It was because guys are just giving it their all to kind of get an extra yard or something like that. So both sides just left it all out on the field.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Landry, Coach Williams, and what he's done with the Chargers and Madison Prep and the teams they put out. And, you combine and you look at, 2 games decided by what, 8 points exactly, like one touchdown combined. Shows you how talented both those teams are. But yeah, just getting the opportunity. I know when you're a higher seed, you kind of look at the brackets and knowing that this game could be a possibility. And we talked about in the broadcast the first game that this game could be a possibility. But knowing that you were able to get that game at home, to win that first game, that's how big it was in the power rankings and everything. To win that game in the regular season, have that game back at home must have been huge. Talk about the crowd tonight and how much a role they played in tonight.
Oh, it was awesome. From our students to our fans, we had a lot of people show up. They tailgates going before. We had the fireworks going with the DJ going. It was a fun atmosphere tonight, but our fans came out and did a great job. We had a lot of alumni players come out. They came to practice yesterday. They came to the game tonight, and it was awesome to see with our guys running out to the stadium full and build off. The fans are cheering so loud. Our guys are getting into it, and it just helps out so much. It was a great for us to have it at home.
And the U-High Cubs, they win tonight 32-30 against Madison Prep to advance to the semifinals. And we'll talk about, I know you're sitting back, you're at home, you're enjoying this, soaking it all in, soaking in the win, especially at this time of year. Let me talk about, when you're practicing, you're preparing during Thanksgiving week, everybody's good at this point of the year. And now you're looking ahead also. It's kind of like we'll enjoy this tonight, start getting ready for St. Charles Catholic. I know that's been the team trying to overcome and get that win, that big win in the semifinals. We know what Coach Stein and his program and what he does over there at St. Charles Catholic. But just your early thoughts on the comments and, trying to get through that hurdle in order to get back to the Superdome.
Yeah, Coach Stein does a great job over there. They're always a very physical football team. We know them really well. We scrimmage them every year, and so we get a chance to see, kind of gauge where we are going into the season. And it's always a great scrimmage. I think we've been doing it for about 10 years, and we played him 2 years ago down there in Laplace in the semifinals. So he does a really good job, whether it's offense, defense, special teams, that they are well coached, and we're going to have to really be ready this week. We have to cut out some mistakes and play a clean game. But, we're excited about it. Still be playing at this point with 4 teams left. I'm so proud of our guys, our coaches, and everybody involved in our program. And so we're going to give it our best shot down there in Laplace on Friday.
Absolutely, Coach. And just any final thoughts? I'm not going to take too much of your time away from you. I appreciate you spending a little time with us this evening, this night. Just any final thoughts on a big win for the Cubs? Sweeping the Chargers was not easy to do, and punching your ticket to the semifinals.
No, just excited. We're really excited to still be playing. Again, like I told our guys after the game, more than anything, we get another week with our team, and that's so much fun. Again, whether it's development with the young guys or just continuing to be out there at practice with our guys that are on the team, it's just fun. It's fun for the coaches, and to have another week with these guys is special.
Absolutely. I know it's going to be a busy week at U-High. Not only you're preparing another week, you're practicing, you get to enjoy another week of preparation with your guys, but you talked about early National Sign Day with some of your guys signing as well. So I know it's going to be a big week at U-High this week.
It will be. It'll be fun. That's a great accomplishment for these guys, and so we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely, Coach. Coach, always a pleasure talking with you, especially after a win. And hopefully we talk next week. That's a good sign. That means you punch your ticket to the Superdome if we're talking next week. But, Coach, congratulations on the victory. Go enjoy the victory. And, start that preparation for those comments next week.
That's right. Thank y'all so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Coach Andy Martin, Victoria's head football coach tonight for the U-High Cubs. They get a victory 32-30 to punch their ticket to the Division 2 select semifinals. Will take on St. Charles Catholic. That's going to be a great football game. St. Charles Catholic and U-High. That was a great football game a couple of years ago. St. Charles Catholic was able to win that game in semis to go to the state championship. And, U-High, St. Charles Catholic, if you're in Plus or you're a Comets fan, Cubs fan, that should be a really fun one to go and see next week. So already 3 great guests on the show already, and we're going to talk about some of the scores around the state of Louisiana as we're just getting started. About 40 minutes into the show, like I mentioned, we got some comments here. We had Condarian North DeSoto next, 1-0, nothing bigger, anybody anywhere. So North DeSoto. Give my early thoughts on some of these matchups, and then we'll have our prediction show. We have a lot of people on Tuesday. I know Spencer Verrett joins us from the LHSAA Network. And we'll have a couple other guests. And just to let you know, he's going to talk about how his record was better than me this week for the quarterfinals. But, he just needs a little bit of an ego boost. I'm just trying to help the guy out. So that's what I'm all about. I'm just helping him out a little bit, give him a little bit of an ego boost. That's what I'm doing here to help Spencer Verrett out. So if Spencer's watching, there you go. So a little bit of an ego boost there. Yeah, Nick, how's that? Yeah, the long time I've heard from Nick. State Championship Friday. Yeah, that's right. So we have state championships in 2 weeks. Then we'll have Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So really excited about that. I think we have 3 on Thursday, 3 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, And yeah, we got a lot to talk about, guys. And I'm still trying to contact some coaches. We'll see if we get some other coaches joining us here tonight. But man, we just talked about some of the games already. You kind of got an idea what's going on with Ascension Catholic and some other scores going around the state. But man, what a great night of football, quarterfinal matchups. We're going to talk about, we'll recap some scores around the state of Louisiana. We're going to take our first commercial break of the night. And we got to give a shout out to our guy, Tommy. Go Tommy's. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Sidings. Obviously, if you watch our preview show every beginning of the week, Monday and Tuesday, you've probably seen Tommy's commercial. We'll be playing in just a moment. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Sidings. Exterior home improvement company located in Baton Rouge. Over 20 years of experience. You can trust them to replace your faulty windows, entry doors, siding, and gutters. If you need porch screens or patio covers installed, they got you covered. Their experienced crew can help you decide on the perfect exterior replacement features for your home. They also provide lifetime warranties on windows, and you get energy-efficient windows. So give them a call, 225-250-8808 to get reliable siding, door, or window installation service. Jay, just visit gotommys.com for a free estimate. So we'll take a commercial break. When we come back, might as well give you some scores around the state of Louisiana. Who has punched their ticket to the semifinals? We'll talk about that after this commercial break. You're watching Ball in the Boot here, presented by Gridiron Football.
And dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly.
Welcome back. So we are back here on Ballin in the Boot. Jace LeJeune here, and we'll go over all the scores around the state of Louisiana. We had a couple coaches join us so far. We had also a former Southeastern line as well come in and talk about Lucas Hill, talk about the game he covered tonight, which was Jewel Sumner, and it was Calvary Baptist. Calvary Baptist able to get the win there. So it's about time to go over some scores around the state of Louisiana. So let's see if I can add this to the stage here, and we'll go over first time. I've probably seen a lot of these scores, but we'll kind of react to them as we get to it. Like I mentioned, guys, if you have a comment, if you have a question, if you want to say the score, make sure to comment below, and I'm sure to put your input on the game. So here we go. We'll start off with Haynesville. Haynesville, they played earlier this season against Jonesboro Hodge. It was pretty much the game. We kind of saw this one coming. Haynesville, I mean, no offense to Jonesboro Hodge, got a lot of respect for Coach Blankenship. And they got two players, great players, that are going to play in a bowl game in Landon, Boston, and Dakota Knox. But Isaiah Washington, the LSU commit, was too much to handle for Jonesboro Hodge, and Haynesville cruises. They win the football game 48-12 over Jonesboro Hodge to advance. And let's see what we got here. We got Ouachita Pairs, man. I mean, once again, 2-5A, looking pretty strong. Ouachita having a Cinderella run as a double-digit seed, a number 14 seed in Division I non-select. And what a run they've had, making all the way to the semifinals. They had that big win over Destrehan, and they continue that. So now they defeated Parkway for the second loss of the season. So they won that football game 28-22. Ouachita Parish gets the win over the Parkway Panthers. Ruston had to come back from behind. I believe Southside was actually winning that football game 28-21. And Ruston came back in the second half, dominated that football game, pulled away from Jess Curtis and the Southside Sharks. The number 1 seed advances to the semifinals. They get a 40-28 win over Southside. So the Ruston Bearcats look ahead, and they will play in the semifinals. Mansfield, good season for the Wolverines, but their season comes to an end. They lose to the Gina Giants, 44-20. Gina, and one of those teams still representing down there in Central Louisiana, and Gina has a chance to go to the Superdome. They overcome that hurdle, that hump. So we'll talk about who they'll play later on the show. But Gina gets the win. They will go to the semifinals with a 44-20 win over Mansfield. We just had Lucas Hill talk about this football game, and down there in the Division III select bracket, Calvary Baptist kind of winning the game where we usually see Jewel Sumner win this type of football game, 14-7. But Calvary Baptist gets the win, 14-7 over Jewel Sumner to advance to the semifinals. It was a tough situation, and we talk about Hamilton Christian dealing with a lot of the noise, outside noise, especially going on with their school. But Ascension Episcopal, they play the game. You got to give credit to the Blue Gators. They won a big game, 38-7. They controlled, dominated that football game. Javon Vile wasn't really much of a factor in this one. It was all Ascension Episcopal. They win 38-7 to go to the semifinals. We just had Coach Taylor James on the show. He talked about, to open up the show, talk about a big win for the Ascension Catholic Bulldogs, 50-42 over Catholic Pointe Coupee, over the Hornets. It was a high-scoring game. I kind of knew it was going to be a high-scoring game with Trevin Simon, and you look at Jude Morrison as well, really good quarterback for Catholic Pointe Coupee. But it was Ascension Catholic. Trevin Simon put up, once again, some video game numbers, already over 50 touchdowns this year. He's putting himself a Gridiron Football Player of the Year type of season for Ascension Catholic. And already, I think he passed Jai Williams for touchdowns and beat a lot of Chad Elsie's records from last year. So 50-42, Ascension Catholic will be playing in the semifinals. That should be a fun one against Westminster Opelousas. Notre Dame. This was, again, another rematch. Notre Dame won the first game. Notre Dame won the second game. And you got a lot of teams that won the second games in their rematches here. Notre Dame wins 27-19 over Lafayette Renaissance. So 27-19, your final score as Notre Dame will go to the semifinals. Vanderbilt Catholic. This was a close one between Vanderbilt Catholic, Lake Charles Prep. This was very much, Spencer and I, we went against each other, but this is a game that could go either way. This game went into overtime. Vanderbilt Catholic kicked a field goal in overtime, and the Terriers were able to get a goal line stand against Lake Charles Prep to end their season. How about the Terriers? They are going to the semifinals. So we'll see what Vanderbilt Catholic does, but what a season it has been for Vanderbilt Catholic. They advance to the next round. So does the Mangum Dragons, 49-16 over a really talented East Feliciana team, but too much for Scott Wiltshire and the Dragons up in North Louisiana. Mangum, really impressive in their win against East Feliciana, 49-16, as they will advance to the semifinals. South Plaquemines and North Iberville. We had a Coach Gass on the show last week. They advanced to the quarterfinals for the first time ever tonight. But They ran into the defending state champions. They ran into the defending South Plaquemines Hurricanes, and their season comes to an end tonight, 27-12 against South Plaquemines down in Burris, Louisiana. South Plaquemines trying to get back to the Superdome, trying to repeat as state champions, 27-12. Sterlington winning big over Laurelville, 44-6. Cruising fashion for the Sterlington Panthers, 44-6, your final score against Laurelville. That's just a great matchup against St. James. We'll talk about that matchup a little bit later in the show. Union Parish, man, I mean, it wasn't like a great Union Parish regular season or anything, but it got rolling in the playoffs. I told you, like, once they defeated ERAF in one undefeated season, I had a feeling they were going to do the same thing against Kinder. Did pick that one right. So Union Parish able to end two teams that came into the playoffs undefeated. First, it was ERAF. Now it was Kinder, 20-14. I believe this was an overtime as well, with Union Parish able to get that victory over Kinder. How about Iowa? Iowa gets the win over Letcher, 28-21. Letcher got a big win last week over Franklin Parish, but their season comes to an end after losing to Iowa. Still undefeated on the season. Coach Johns got himself really good. He got himself a really good football team, really good squad, and they came close to going to the Dome last year, and they're right back at the doorstep again. Can the Yellow Jackets really go through that door and go to the Superdome? Would be huge for this football program, and they have a chance to do that next week. So they won the football game 28-21. And we talked about it. I know we got our Green Double fans here, but Plaquemine, they get their revenge. We talked about that they had a chance to play against Cecilia. They got their rematch, and they got their revenge. On the revenge tour, Plaquemine gets a 47-28 win over Cecilia, and now the Plaquemine Green Devils are one game away from advancing to the Superdome. But man, it's gonna be a tough order who they'll play next. We'll talk about that. But a huge win for the Plaquemine Green Devils, 47-28 over Cecilia. We got North DeSoto and Franklinton. I knew that this would be a little bit of a high-scoring game. This is one of the last games, the later games to finish on the night. But North DeSoto wins the football game 51-37. Two outstanding quarterbacks. We talk about Luke Delafield from North DeSoto. We talk about Jacob Crane for Franklinton. You knew it was going to be a high-scoring game. Franklinton trying to go back to the Superdome after last year, just falling short in the state championship game. But North DeSoto, they continue their mission to getting back. And Luke Delafield trying to get a state championship along with Dennis Dunn. 51-37. North DeSoto gets the victory over the Franklinton Demons. Jeanerette, all over Logansport tonight, 36-8. Dominating win for the Jeanerette Tigers over Logansport, 36-8. Not surprised by the win, but a little bit surprised by the margin, considering Logansport is a good program. Coach McGee does a good job, but all kudos there to Jeanerette. Archbishop Shaw, the defending state champions in Division II, select all over the world. College Prep Flyers. What a season for the I heard Dice Resovich denied this game. There were whispers about that heading into this game. I didn't know how true they were or not, but he did not play. But still, great season for the Flyers. Great season for Loyola College Prep. You get a lot of players back for next year. They'll be back. But this is all Hank Tierney. This is all about the Archbishop Shaw Eagles. They went on the road, made the drive up to Shreveport, and the Eagles were pretty dominant. Hank Tierney, big win for him and the rest of the Shaw Eagles. 38-7 over Loyola Prep to get that win. Really impressive stuff for the Shaw Eagles. They're trying to go back to back for a state championship. I was at this game in the regular season finale between Westminster and St. Edmund. It was a lot closer the first time around, but hey, it was no fluke that Westminster won that football game because they dominated this second one 52-22. Westminster dominant over St. Edmund, and that's going to set up a great matchup in the semifinals with Ascension Catholic. But hey, the Crusaders are really rolling this year. Speaking of rolling, how about this? It was 20-14 at halftime with LCA and Catholic New Iberia. But in the second half, it was all LCA. It was all about the Knights in the second half. Your final score, 49-14. LCA gets the win over Catholic New Iberia to go to the semifinals. And we have John Curtis. Man, don't bet against JT Curtis. Yeah, don't bet against JT Curtis because John Curtis is so good. And he's the reason why he's a GOAT. And I have a lot of respect for Turlings. I've seen Turlings play this year. Alex Munoz is a great quarterback. And they got a great young coach in Michael Corville. They're going to be just fine. But, hey, John Curtis, what can you say about him? You can't go against him. And Cody Vicknair, Iowa Yellow Jacket Football, thanks for coverage and highlighting our program. Take the victory lap, Jace. You made the pick. I appreciate that, Cody. Usually people call me out when I don't get my picks right. So I really appreciate that, Cody. I did pick Iowa. You can rub it in Spencer's face a little bit for picking Letcher. But, hey, at this point of the year, it shows why you're undefeated. And that's good. I mean, the Yellow Jackets have a lot of great players. A lot of guys going to play at the college level. Tommy Johns is a great coach, and I know y'all playing with some motion as well too. So yeah, I mean it's a great win for the Yellow Jackets, and I know that y'all coming close. I know y'all went close last year and have a chance to go to the Superdome. Would be big, and I think this is a team that can get there. I think that's a team that seriously can make that championship run. We'll go over all the picks and everything next week, but still, huge win for Coach Johns. I did text him. We'll see if we can get him on the show tonight. I know we get a couple coaches on. We'll see if Coach Johns will join us. I know he's joined us in the past, but still, great win for the Yellow Jackets to get that victory for sure. I appreciate that shout out, Cody. And like I mentioned, guys, if you have any shout outs, make sure to comment in the comment section, and we'll talk about those teams and any teams you want to give a shout out to. Give them some extra love as well. But John Curtis, going back to that, 21-7 over Trojans Catholic. How about this score? Catholic High and Alexandria. This game was actually 6-3 at halftime. Alexandria was winning 6-3 at half, and the second half came and. Well, I don't know what Hudson Ford told the Bears at halftime, but something happened. Something clicked, and Catholic took over that entire second half, winning that football game, outscoring, Ash, what was it, 41-0 in the second half. But Catholic is a team to watch out for. I know everybody talks about, and we'll talk about a lot next week, but Catholic is a team. And I've seen Catholic. I graduated from there, so I'm pretty familiar with that program and familiar with the Bears. But they are a program that everybody talks about in the car. This is a team that can match up with that in the car. I mean, I called that semifinal game last year for Varsity Sports Now, and Catholic was 3 plays. We go back 3-4 plays away from beating in the car. I thought, like, on the field, they show they can match up with that in the car. And I know that win came down to the wire for in the car. It was a great football game, calling that for VSN. John Johnson made a couple plays with his legs, and I think that proved to be the difference, and able to get a couple defensive plays, defensive stops. But, man, Catholic was in there. So that will be an intriguing game. But I did not expect Catholic to roll over Ash like that. Alexandria's a great football program. Coach Thomas Bachman does a great job with that team. Ash was winning that football game at halftime 6-3. I thought it was going to be like kind of in the mid-20s. And I thought Catholic would win the game, but I thought it would be like a 27-21, 24-20 game. I thought it would be a game like that. I thought it would be just a well-rounded good football game. But boy, was I wrong. Catholic High dominated that football game 44-6. Congratulations to the Bears and Coach Hudson Ford. And they're going to take their shot, and they got a good shot in the car. Let me just say that. Had Coach Andy Martin on the show. If you just missed it. But U High, they get a 32-30 win over Madison Prep. I called the regular season game 14-8. And U High, it was, it was a little bit more higher scoring. It was a lot more higher scoring in the rematch, 32-30. But talk about these two teams, two really good football teams that have a lot of college talent on both these two teams. You'll see a lot of salary players for both the Cubs and the Chargers. How about this? In the two games they played this year, there's been a combined winning margin for U High, 8 points in two games. You win both those two games, but you won those two games by a combination of 8 points. That is really impressive. We got another comment here in the comment section. Well, there we go. Royal Gang 9136 told you Cecilia wasn't ready. Yep, you definitely told me, Royal Gang 9136. And I was with you though. I did pick Plaquemine to win that game. I thought that Plaquemine would be able to get their revenge when that matchup happened against Cecilia. And I just think right now, in terms of athletically, that's going to be a great matchup with North DeSoto. But man, I knew Plaquemine was hungry. I knew the fans were hungry. I knew the coaches were hungry. I knew the team was hungry to get that rematch and to win that game. So with it being at home again, I knew it was just going to be tough for Cecilia to pull that off again on the road. But big win for the Green Devils to win that football game. But yeah, great win for Plaquemine, and they have a great shot at finally getting to that state championship game. They've been close before. My dad was been on the staff at Plaquemine a couple of those great years when they had Devon Gottschall and Wayne Toussaint and all those guys in mid with Coach Paul DeStefano. They were close, but it was a tougher bracket then. You had to play Warren Easton, you had to play Edna Carr, you had to play Neville, McDonald 35. Those are some tough teams. Karen Crow. It's still tough. You got to get through some really good teams down there in Division II non-select, but it was different, man. Back in those days. All right, let's see. Riverside Academy. I got that one right. Riverside Academy 38-14 over Ouachita Christian. I heard Jana Bakeway had himself a great game tonight. Also, Kendrick Johnson, Boogie Johnson. They got so many different playmakers for Riverside Academy, and did not expect it to be this lopsided. I thought it'd be a great football game with the Ouachita Christian and Riverside Academy, but still in the fact that Riverside Academy won that football game by that margin was really impressive for Riverside Academy. Coach Roussel trying to get to the Dome. I figured that the winner of this game, I said it on the Tuesday show, whoever won this football game, I thought was going to go to the state championship game. But you see here, 38-14 for Riverside Academy. We got another comment from Braden Bailey. Appreciate Braden for commenting on the show. I would say go Comets. That's right. We actually had the coach that y'all will be playing against next week, Andy Martin for U High. Remember that matchup a couple years ago was a great football game. St. Charles Catholic actually won that football game to go to the Superdome. So another chance to do that again. But we're about to go to St. Charles Catholic, I think, later down the row in that E.D. White win. But we'll talk about it. But big win for St. Charles Catholic. We had Coach Stein on the show earlier this year. So, we'll see if we get him on the show as well, maybe next week. That'll be after a semifinal win. All right, let's moving down the list. Belle Chase, they get a 39-16 win over West Louisiana. It's just really tough to score against Belle Chase. And when you have a defense, you can kind of fill in the rest from there. It's hard to win games. It's hard to be an opponent when you can't score. And Belle Chase's defense has been as good as it gets this year. Coach Myers does a good job with that team, that program. I got to get Coach Myers on the show now I'm thinking about it. But but still, great win for Bell Chase. It's been a good season for West Louisiana. You know, they fall to the quarterfinals. To get there in the fashion that they did, to go up from they were down by 17 against Bruley, to come back, win that football game, to set up the stage, to set up this moment, to set up that point against Bell Chase. I think it just kind of ran out of energy, ran out of juice after winning. When you win a playoff game like that, it's kind of hard to translate that to the next week. But still, if that's what to expect from Coach Terry Miner in his first year at West Louisiana, some good things are on the horizon for the Saints moving forward. And there's your comments, Braden. 31-0 St. Charles Catholic, and pretty much a St. Charles Catholic-esque game. You know, scoring 30 points, doing what they can do on offense, but their defense is so well coached. I can put up Wayne Stein and his coaching staff up against anybody in terms of getting his team ready, his team prepared. One thing about St. Charles Catholic, I'm always going to say about St. Charles Catholic, and that's pretty much the perfect compliment for them and their program. One thing I can say about them is you are going to have to beat them. If you beat them, you deserve to win the game, because they're not going to beat themselves. Like, you're going to have to go and earn it. You're going to have to take it from them. And that's what U High is going to have to do next week. And that's what makes them so tough to beat. And that's what makes a win, what St. James did against them this year, so impressive. Because you're going to have to go and earn it. You know, when you beat a team like St. Charles Catholic. So that should be a great team, a great matchup. We'll talk about that. But Edie White, good coaching, especially how it started 0-3, I think. Or I know they started off slow in non-district play, but they really picked it up after that. And they've had a great run. To get to that point, to get to the quarterfinals, it's tough to beat Coach Stein and comments when they're in the playoff mode. So 31. Dunham, they go on the road. They defeat Newman 48-22. What can you say? Dunham's really tough. Their defense is really tough. They got great wide receivers. I knew it was going to be a tough out for Newman. Newman's been playing a lot better football. Aaron Weiss has got that team rolling down the stretch. But Dunham has been on a tear this year. Their only loss was to St. Charles. But Dunham is, to be honest, as good as I've seen him play under Coach Neil Weiner. And that's going to be a great matchup we'll talk about with LCA as we go towards the end of the show tonight. We had Coach Valdez on a couple of times throughout the course of the season, and he's got the Purple Knights on a roll. St. Augustine won that football game big in the regular season, and they won it big tonight, 35-10 against Rummel. I don't think there's a team that's playing as hot or as confident as what the Purple Knights are playing like right now. To beat a team like Rummel twice in the Catholic League, a team as good as Rummel is, and much respect I have, kind of that Wayne Stein tree. You know, you got Frank Monica tree right there, and Nick Monica at Rummel. To beat them by 25 points is accomplishment. And man, Coach Valdez has got this team rolling. It's going to be a great semifinal game against John Curtis, but 35-10, St. Augustine gets the win over Rummel. There's another game that a lot of eyes in New Orleans. Edna Carr and Evangel Christian. I just said it was going to be just a tough matchup, you know, for Pop Houston. For Evangel to first, you got to make that drive to New Orleans. Second of all, you got to play Edna Carr, who is like right now, head and shoulders, the number one team in the entire state of Louisiana. They're just a team that doesn't really have a weakness. I mean, whether it's offensively, defensively, coaching, talent, Saturday players across the board. So it's going to be, it's going to be really, really tough to beat this team. You're going to have to be on your A game. Not only have to be on your A game to be in the car, you're going to be on your A game, and you probably need a little luck. And that's how good the car Cougars really are. So, y'all streaming the Catholic versus Car game again next week. So, I'm not sure if I'm calling it, but like I was last year. But I think VSN would be able to cover the game, stream the game, because it was the Car's home game, and that's kind of the thing in playoffs, I believe. You don't quote me if I'm wrong, but I think the LHSAA, usually in the regular season, when you call a game and you stream a game, you just need the permission from the home team. Now, I think in the playoff, I think it's both. I think it's the home team and the away team. Now, Catholic has VSN, so what would happen is, and the car would have to approve it, and they did last year. So I'm not sure if I'm calling it because Dixon McMakin's usually the voice of the Bears for Catholic, and I filled in for him that night to call that game. I was super honored to call that game last year against in the car, and it was a great game to call. But I have a good feeling that VSN, don't quote me yet, but there's a good chance that game would be picked up. So if not VSN, it's somebody will pick it up. Trust me, that game's too good to pass it up. So that game will be streamed by somebody. To answer your question, yeah, we're not surprised. I guess you're not. I guess you're referring Aiden to and the car because if that's the case, yeah, I don't think anybody's surprised. I mean, I think the only people that are surprised will be Evangel fans. And maybe some of them are not too surprised because, Pastor Denny approached it like David versus Goliath, because that's what it was. So it was David versus Goliath. But in the car, man, they are really rolling. So are the Neville Tigers. Neville, did you have to do Barb like that? I mean, come on. I mean, Cinderella struck midnight for Cinderella, for Barb. What a run they had to get through this point. They upset Northwood in the first round. Then they upset West Monroe. But it was I think I just had a feeling they were going to run out of gas. It was tough to make that trip up to Northeast Louisiana for the second week in a row, do it all over again. But how about Neville putting up a statement as well? And they could have put their second string in. LOL, they was getting payback for West Monroe. Yeah, they won that game for West Monroe. I'm sure Neville was trying to represent 2-5A. You got to at least uphold the theory that 2-5A is the best district in Louisiana. So in order to do that, you gotta beat Barb. And what was most impressive about this victory is not the 42-point margin. It's the 0 on the board. I think that's what impressed me the most about this win for Neville. They got great defensive players. I mean, Juju Burns is a guy that kind of headlines the way for Neville, a leeway for him. But if you've seen this Barb offense, they got some playmakers. Jelani Gray, their quarterback, the running back Jordan Griffin's a great football player. He's special to watch. To shut out that offense, to hold them out the end zone is very impressive. I knew that Neville would win this game, but I thought Barb would at least put some points up on the board. But to shut them out 42-0, that is a statement there made by the Neville Tigers to win a game like that. 42-0. Neville getting the victory. What can you say about Coach Collins and the Tigers able to make a statement in that football game there? Okay, let's see. Zachary and Central. I knew it was going to come down to the end. I knew it was going to come down to the wire. It did the regular season. I just picked the wrong team. And that make it a lesson for me to not go against David Burton because whatever reason, Zachary they just turn up a notch. They turn up a notch when they hit the playoffs and they hit November. It hasn't been the best regular season for them. And I'm sure that David Burton can tell you that too. But they just know how to win in November. They just know how to find a way. I knew it was going to be a close game, but Zachary able to edge out Central 31-27. They're back in the semifinals, and Zachary, it's up against basically 2-5A because they're the only team that's not from 2-5A, and that Division I non-select bracket still alive. So you still have Ruston, Washita, and Neville, and then there's Zachary. Zachary's the other team down there, and the Division I non-select still left. So it's still pretty funny that Baton Rouge against everybody. So Zachary getting back to the semifinals, man. Don't go against David Brewer, Coach Brewer and company. Good for you, Aiden. 11 for 12. So 11 for 12, not too bad. Not that's a nice completion percentage right there. So 11 for 12 there for Aiden on his predictions. Okay. All right, let's move ahead. This is the game I called tonight for Varsity Sports Now in beautiful downtown Vacherie. When we get a chance, maybe, let's see. Yep, I called this game for VSN, 57-13. If I get the highlights in time for VSN tonight, I will show those to y'all guys. But it was a lot of offensive fireworks for the St. James Wildcats. And every time they touched the football, it ended at 6 points for the Wildcats. Let's just say that. But they were really good. And somebody told me that Oak Grove didn't even get a run until the last quarter. LOL. Is this true? Yeah. But by the time the second half, I guess didn't even get a run. Well, they ran the ball, but like the second half was running. It was totally dominated by St. James. They scored St. James every time they touched the ball until their last drive. In the last drive, they took a lot of the start of the game and trying to run the clock. They scored every single drive until that point. But the quarterback, Juwan Jackson, is really special. He's only a sophomore, folks, and this kid, he can throw it. He can throw until he can throw it deep. He can throw it underneath, intermediate. Throw it short. He can run. Like, I can't imagine what it is. Yeah, every now and then it does that. It lags. So if y'all get any problems with that, just let me know. It's just something that happens with the stream every now and then. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does lag every now and then. So just kind of bear with it. But I appreciate the comment there. Like, they didn't score till last quarter. So they didn't score in the final quarter at all. They didn't score in the final quarter at all. It was 40. What was 37? Okay, we're back. Okay. It was a 30-point. So it was 57-13 final. So it was, I'm trying to remember what the score was. Oh, I think it was 37-13. Well, anyway, they scored two touchdowns in the first half, but they just could not hang with St. James. Both brothers. So that happened. So they combined for 6 touchdowns on the night. But it was hard to slow down. Jackson threw for 3 touchdowns. It was tough. It was tough to slow down that offense. And I tell you this, St. James is going to be tough to slow down. They got a really good quarterback. They got about 3 or 4 different receivers, and their defense is pretty athletic too. So Sterlington is tough. I know that, but the way St. James played tonight, shoot. I mean, there's not going to be a lot of teams that can slow them down or can contain them. All right, so 57-13. I might play some highlights from that game, from the game tonight by the end of the show. Let's see here. And I think that's all the scores. So those are all your playoff scores right here. I guess we disagree. I still think Sterlington will win. Plus, Sterlington played equally good as St. James tonight. And you got the other thing, too, going for you, Aiden. And the other thing going for you, Aiden, is Sterlington won this game. Sterlington won this game last year. And won in the Super Bowl 28. But revenge is a good motivation factor. And I think St. James is pretty hungry for it, for revenge. The good thing about this is, Aiden, I think you're going to see this matchup for the next 4 years. Sterlington and St. James. I think you'll see it for, I guess, like 3 years, 3 or 4 years. You'll see this game in the Superdome, or you'll see this in a semifinal game. And we kind of knew last year that you would see this game for the next 4 years for obvious big reasons. Can really say what you said. Okay, yeah. So the one thing you got going for you, Aiden, is that Sterlington won this football game last year. They won in the Superdome. They won 35-28 this year. But motivation can be a big factor in this. I think St. James is really motivated by this game that went that way last year. Yeah, I started we're glitching a little bit. Let me try and maybe remove this. Maybe that helps. But yeah, I mean, motivation can be a big thing, and I think that is the thing here for when you talk about St. James. And St. James' offense is really good. Now, Sterlington's put up some points as well. I haven't seen Sterlington up and close in person this year, but that should be a higher scoring game. Are you streaming on OBS? Yes, I am streaming on OBS. No, not OBS. I'm using StreamYard. So StreamYard is what I'm using. So just kind of bear with it if it's kind of glitching like this. It's just what it is. I'm also not sharing my screen now, so that actually might help not be as choppy, with the stream and everything. So, but I appreciate your concern there. Okay. Yep, that's right. And that's what happened. You got 2 browsers going on at one time, 2 tabs going on at one time. It kind of lags it down. So that's what happened there. But I shouldn't lag as much now because I'm not sharing my screen or doing anything else. So just talking to y'all guys for the next 30 minutes. So those are your playoff scores from the quarterfinal round. Like I mentioned, guys, if you have any questions, I know we got some comments. Blackman, that's right, Condarian. Yep, the Green Devils. I know we had a lot of Green Devils fans tuning in on Tuesday. You got your revenge and then some, and now we're going to talk about, we'll end the show, obviously, with some of my I take a little bit of a quick preview into some of these semifinal matchups so when we end up the show. But I'm going to spend at least, next couple of minutes, unless nobody has any comments. Nobody has any comments about their games or teams or just overall takeaways from the quarterfinals. We'll be here till 1 o'clock this morning. But first of all, before I do that, hopefully everybody has enjoyed their Thanksgiving. Hopefully everybody had himself a great turkey day. Enjoyed a great couple days of football. I mean, yesterday in the NFL, got some great games in the NFL yesterday, and today as well. Some great college games. I know covering LSU, the Ole Miss drama with Lane Kiffin, and where if he's going to be in Baton Rouge, he's going to be at LSU, he's going to be at Ole Miss. We're going to break that one down, I'm sure. But yeah, it's going to be a fun couple of days, and then you got semifinals next week. But it's a great time to be alive if you're a football fan, that's for sure. And then Texas, how about Texas Longhorns getting a win over Texas A&M to keep the Aggies outside the SEC championship game? So how about that tonight? So I just found out about that score too, just coming back. But now you have 32 teams left now. They're trying to compete for punch your ticket to the state championship game. We have another week of playoff football. We've got semifinal football going on. But yeah, since we don't have any comments or anything right now, we're going to take another commercial break, and we'll come back. We're going to end the show. Just a little bit of a preview. We're not going to make any picks or anything. That's going to be for Tuesday's show. But we're going to give a little bit of a preview, a little bit of a sneak peek into the semifinal matchups next week. So we're going to end the show doing that. But before we do that, we got to give thanks to our sponsor here at Tommy's Windows, a proud sponsor of Ball in the Boot throughout the course of the season. Appreciate Tommy for all he does with us for Gridiron Football. Trusty exterior home improvement specialist. I mean, might as well go to, talk about an A+ rating for the Better Business Bureau. What can you say? Top of the line. Over 20 years of experience, award-winning. You go back to Angie's List since 2016, and just award-winning since then, 2016 to 2023, for Super Service Award winners for Angie's. But integrity, dependable, efficient, professional, those are all things they want to bring to the table. Tommy and his crew do a great job in doing. So make sure to give them and their experienced crew a call if you want have replacement for any of the following: your windows, your gutters, siding, door, entry door, need porch screens, patio screens. They do it all. So make sure you give them a call. You can find the number at the bottom. You can find their website at the bottom of the ticker, gotommys.com. Give them a call, 225-250-8808. Call Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. We'll be right back after this commercial break, and we'll preview the semifinals.
Windows, doors, and siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly.
Welcome back, Ballin in the Boot. I'm your host, Jace LeJeune, and we are having our Friday night show. Appreciate a lot of the guests that came on the show throughout the course of the show. When we're done at 1 o'clock this morning, you can go back and watch the entire show. We had some great interviews at the top of the show earlier. We've had some great guests. Taylor James, Ascension Catholic head football coach. They got a big win over Catholic Pointe Coupee tonight. We had Lucas Hill, who has been a Southeastern buddy of mine, covering high school football, covering Southeastern Lions as well. He talked about a big win for Calvary Baptist over Jewel Sumner earlier today. And then finally, we had Coach Andy Martin, victorious head football coach for U High. The Cubs got a big playoff win, 32-30 over Madison Prep. So those are some of the guests for our show tonight. You can go back at the beginning of the show when we're done. I'll try to put some timestamps and everything first thing in the morning, and we'll to recap this one, which has been a eventful quarterfinal playoff run. And then if VSN able to post the highlights from St. James, I'll probably be able to show that to you. If they don't, well, you can find VSN's Twitter for that as well. Well, we're not going to pick every single game. We're not going to do that. We won't say that for early next week. That's why we have the Monday to Tuesday version of the show. But might as well take at least a glimpse, a quick look at some of the semifinal pairings. So because next week it's for all the it's for your chance, right? It's like to punch your ticket. It's like trying to get the golden ticket to go to the chocolate factory, right? You try and get your golden ticket to the Superdome. You trying that's the moment that everybody's been playing for, practicing for. That's kind of like that quote from Bill Parcells. That's why you lift all them weights for that opportunity to play in the Superdome where the Saints play. And there's your chance to do that next week. One more game for a lot of these teams next week to go to the state championship game. So let's kind of see these matchups. Let's see it doesn't lag again. I know it usually lags when I share my screen. Hopefully it doesn't do it as much here. If it does, y'all just let me know if y'all watching, if it does lag a little bit. But let's see if we can pull up some of these brackets. I'm going to start off with Division 4 non-select. So here are your semifinal matchups. With Haynesville winning, Jeanerette taking care of business. We'll have Haynesville and Jeanerette on one side, and you'll have Mangum and South Plaquemines on the other side. So, yeah, I mean, those are going to be four really good teams in Division 4 non-select. When we talk about Mangum and South Plaquemine, that's one of those games that really home field it means a whole lot. I'm gonna have to mention that because Mangum, you're pretty much at the top of the state of Louisiana, and South Plaquemines, you're at the bottom. I mean, you're at the Gulf, pretty much. So you knew that whoever had home field advantage for a game like that was going to make a difference. So obviously we'll pick out winners and everything, but the game will be played at Mangum. So Mangum and South Plaquemines on the bottom side of the bracket. And you got Haynesville and Jeanerette. So Haynesville trying to get back to the state championship game for the third year in a row. And after losing the last 2 years, they're trying to go back to the state championship game, and this time win. They're trying to get past that hurdle in the last couple of years of actually winning state championship. But we know Haynesville. We know how many state championships they won, only second to John Curtis. So a chance to do that. But you got Haynesville and Jeanerette. You got South Plaquemines and Mangum. That's Division 4 non-select. That's your Final Four in Division 4 non-select. Your Final Four in Division 4 select. It hasn't been filled in there, but I can tell you it's Westminster Christian of Opelousas against Ascension Catholic. My early thoughts on that one. If you like really good running back play, go and see that one. Kyle Horde. That's a name that hasn't been mentioned a whole lot just yet. Go see that kid play. Kyle Horde is a man amongst boys when he runs the football. So he's a very great running back to watch. And you look at Trevin Simon for Ascension Catholic, the numbers he's put up, the season he's had, he's worth a look too. So if you're in that area and you're in Opelousas, go see that game. Westminster Christians and Ascension Catholic. Should be a fun matchup when we look at that. So I'm really excited about what that matchup may hold. And you look at the bottom side of the bracket. Ascension Episcopal. What a win over Hamilton Christian was a statement, 38-7 to get that point. And now you got to play Riverside Academy. I'm really high on this Riverside Academy team. I saw them play against Episcopal at the beginning of the year. I really like the makeup of this football team. Brock Bourgeois quarterback, a lot of different skilled players that can beat you. So that should be a good game. I mean, Ascension Episcopal is playing their best football right now. I believe they've only had one loss this season. So that's going to be a really good football game, too. But the Division 4 Select is pretty loaded with a lot of teams that can make some runs. But that is your Final Four in Division 4 Select. You have Riverside Academy and Ascension Episcopal. And you got Westminster Christian and Ascension Catholic. That is your Final Four in Division 4 Select. Now let's look at Division 3 non-select. Gina, they're trying to get to the Superdome, but in their way is a familiar team, and that is Union Parish. Union Parish, all they've done was take down one undefeated team after another. They defeated ERAF 2 weeks ago, and they took care of Kinder this time tonight. So now in their way is the number 1 seed. It's the Gina Giants. And if you're Gina, yeah, I think Union Parish was in your way. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Union Parish was in their way a couple years ago to get to the state championship, and Union Parish beat them. So they're obstacle again. So Union Parish is kind of like what I said about Zachary, not exactly the regular season type of year we usually see from Zachary or from Union Parish, but they're one of those teams that plays well in November, always makes a run in November and early December. So you see here again, they're right there again for a chance to go to the Superdome as they'll take on Gina. Gina trying to get over that hurdle, right? After making the semifinals first time in a couple of years, Jay Roark has progressively built the program up. Has a chance to take another step and get to the Superdome and they get past Union Parish. And on the bottom side of the bracket, we talked about this game a whole lot. I know me and Aiden talked about this, but we talked about St. James, Sterlington. In my estimation, I'm not going to pick the games or anything, but I have a strong feeling that whoever wins that football game is going to win it all. I'm really high on both these two teams, Sterlington and St. James. I thought we would get this matchup in the Dome for 4 straight years in a row. It just happened on the brackets, the way the brackets are laid out, that they happen to be on the same side of the bracket. But that should be a fun game between Sterlington and St. James. That was a rematch from the state championship game last year, won by Sterlington 35-28. But that's going to be a fun game. Now, St. James is going to have to make the travel up to Sterlington as the number 2 seed, number 3 seed. So Sterlington's the higher seed, but that's going to be a fun game. Sterlington's been really rolling offense, so St. James should be a high scoring game when we look at both those two teams. So those are your Final Four. It's Gina, really 4 familiar teams in this bracket. When we talk about teams making runs, it's kind of what you expected, right? Gina, Union Parish, St. James, Sterlington, your Final Four in Division 3 non-select. Now, Division 3 select, how about a loaded bracket? That top side of the bracket, man, LCA and Dunham, Braylon Walker, Elijah Haven, a lot of great talented players on that team. LCA trying to get their revenge. They had a big lead on Dunham, but Dunham came all the way back and won that football game, I believe, to advance to the semifinals. I think that helped them get to the semis. But have a chance for revenge, especially a great season that LCA has had this year. Have a chance to get revenge, but they will also be at home. They went on the road to Dunham last year. They will be hosting Dunham this time around. I'm really high on LCA. I've seen both these two teams play this year in person. LCA, they are as good as it gets. I mean, they're playing like a top 5, top 6 team in the state, regardless of classification. A lot of talented players: Braden Allen, Luke Green. We talk about Brandon Walker, and then Elijah Haven too. That should be a fun matchup. And be honest with you, if I do not call a game for VSN and I got a game for Gridiron, that might be the game I'm going to between LCA and Dunham. But I still got to see what's on tap for across the state of Louisiana. So that's definitely an option. And then on the bottom side of the bracket, Notre Dame and Calvary Baptist. Calvary Baptist, pretty impressive. I was pretty impressed how they won that game because that's kind of like a Jewel Sumner-esque way to win a game like that, 14-7, right? But you look at Notre Dame, that's just a team with Louis Cook that you're not surprised they're here. You're not surprised they're at this moment that they have this opportunity to go to a state championship because you look at Louis Cook, that's just one of those coaches you don't want to go against, right? I mean, that's one of the best coaches in Louisiana high school football history. So these are two teams that you're pretty much not surprised they're there. Calvary Baptist and Notre Dame. But man, two great big brand names. The game will be played at Crowley. So should be a great one. But that's your final four: Notre Dame, Calvary Baptist, and LCA Dunham. That's as good as it gets there. Division III Select is really entertaining to watch. That's a really entertaining bracket, and that's a really entertaining Final Four for sure. All right, so Division III Select, we go to Division II Non-Select. And North DeSoto and Plaquemine. Are my Green Devils fans still here? Because I know we have a lot of them that tune into the show. They got their revenge. They got it over Cecilia. But man, oh man, what a matchup they have. Number 1 seed North DeSoto now on deck for Plaquemine. Plaquemine trying to get to the Superdome. Only team that's in their way. Dennis Dunn, North DeSoto. You got Luke Delafield, Kenny Thomas. Plaquemine's going to have to keep up. That's all I want to say. That is an explosive offense. They can put up a lot of points on the scoreboard. Now, athletically, Plaquemine definitely can match up with them. That's going to be a great chess match right there. Plaquemine's going to have to make the drive up to Stonewall up in North Louisiana. But that will be a fun one. North DeSoto trying to kind of finish business, kind of unfinished business for them. Freshman year for Luke Delafield. He leads the team and brings them all the way to the Dome. I think his sophomore year, they lose to Opelousas. That's right. They lost to Opelousas. And Opelousas ended up winning the state championship. And last year, I'm trying to remember who beat them last year. But was it Cecilia? Or was it Iowa? I forgot who it was, but I know somebody beat them earlier last year. And now they get their opportunity to get back to the Dome, but Plaquemine's in their way. Man, that's gonna be a great matchup against the Plaquemine Green Devils. North DeSoto, I'm pretty high on both those two teams. So somebody's going to have to at this point. Everybody's good, but somebody has to go home. That's kind of like the nature of the beast at this point when you look at Final Four action. And then Belle Chase, Iowa. Belle Chase is leaning a lot on their defense this year. Iowa, they can kind of beat you in multiple different ways. They can run the football if they need to. They can throw the football if they need to. But defense has been really good. Hey, you play complimentary football. If you're undefeated, you got to play complimentary football at some point. So Iowa's a really good football team. And Iowa, again, these are four teams that it's going to be interesting who wins the state championship here in this bracket. Because you look at it, these are four teams that haven't really done it. Belle Chase has been a while. North DeSoto, Dennis Dunn has done it. But North DeSoto trying to win a state championship. Plaquemine, they've had some great teams over the years, but they're trying to get to the Dome. So it's going to be a little bit more of a fresher face, who wins the state championship, which is good. I'm all for new teams getting the spotlight and getting a chance to win the state championship. And that is a bright spot when you talk about non-select and select and brackets, because it gives more teams opportunities to win state championships. I don't think it necessarily waters it down, but it just gives more opportunities for more teams. So, yeah, you got four teams here. We look at it one more time. Iowa and Belle Chase On the bottom side, North DeSoto and Plaquemines. That is your non-select Division 2 playoff bracket. And select Division 2, St. Charles Catholic U High. We had St. Charles Catholic U High in the playoffs and the semis 2 years ago. Now they'll be playing once again for a chance to go to the Superdome. Two great teams, programs, St. Charles Catholic, well coached, Wayne Stein, U High, same thing, and great athletes. U High trying to beat St. Charles Catholic, trying to get revenge from them a couple years ago. But that should be a great football game. St. Charles Catholic will host U High down on La Place. So great matchup there between the Comets and the Cubs. We had Coach Martin on the show talk about that matchup as well. So you can go back when the show was done. In 10 minutes, you can go back and watch the replay and watch that interview for Coach Martin. If you're a Comets fan, want to get to know a little bit about what the Cubs are all about, get a little preview for that game, well, you can go and check that out. And I know that this is a team that's pretty familiar with them because they scrimmage before the season, so very familiar with each other. And we have Archbishop Shaw and Vanderbilt Catholic. Vanderbilt Catholic, what a run they've had. They beat Carver in the second round. They beat Lake Charles Prep in overtime to get to this point. Now, your next task, you got to beat the defending state champions. You got to beat Archbishop Shaw. You got to beat Coach Hank Tierney and the Eagles. And they've been rolling. When they've been rolling, they've been tough to beat. So it's going to be a great matchup over there at the bottom side as well. Shaw trying to get back to the Dome. And you got St. Charles Catholic U High, Division 2 select. This is kind of the point where it heats up in that bracket, in the semifinals. All right. And then we got Division 1. So the big boys that are left in non-select and select. And when we talk about Division 1 non-select, we're going to talk about 2-5A because it's pretty much dominated by 2-5A in North Louisiana. But we have one Baton Rouge team in their way from preventing 2-5A from winning a state championship. But it's Zachary. And Zachary would take on Ruston. So what a matchup we got here between the Bearcats and the Zachary Broncos. But Ruston will host. Ruston and Zachary has played in semifinals before. I think this was a rematch from a couple years ago. This is when Zachary had Eli Holstein at quarterback, and Ruston was able to win that football game. So same thing. It's going to be played at Ruston. Zachary's going to have to make the drive, but it's hard to go against David Brewerton in the Zachary Broncos. They got a big win over Central tonight. Ruston, Jared Ball, and the Bearcats, they've been used to making deep playoff runs as well. I think this was a rematch from a state championship game a couple years ago, too, in the Superdome. And that was a great football game. That was when Zachary had Trades Green, and Ruston had some great players as well. And their quarterback went up, Bradley, went going to Tulane. And this was the streak breaker for Ruston when Ruston finally won a state championship since 1990. It was a great football game against Zachary, and Ruston was able to get that state championship 2 years ago. So that was a rematch from that state championship game just a couple years ago. But both these two teams have played each other a couple of times in the playoffs. That should be a fun matchup between the Broncos and the Bearcats. On the bottom side, this is a district matchup, Ouachita and Neville. Ouachita having a Cinderella run this year as a number 14 seed. But, hey, when that district they play in, the record's kind of deceiving because they lost some close games this year, and they've shown that in that district. And remember what that first game was all about. It was a classic. It was a great football game. Neville won that football game 38-37. And so they get to play again. They're going to be like that again. Neville is having a great run as well. But in their way is a team that they know. So both these two teams know each other very well, and Neville and Ouachita. But only team that's preventing 2-5A from winning the Division I non-select state championship is Akron. So it's them against everybody else in Division I non-select. And finally, we have Division I select. So Endicott Catholic. Called that game last year for VSN. It was a great one to call. And the car won that game, but Catholic gave their best shot. And Catholic, I think, can give them a really good shot at the car. So this is kind of the point for the car. They've looked pretty much nearly unbeatable. But if there's a point for the car that somebody can pressure them a little bit and make it interesting, this is when that round starts to happen. Because I think Catholic can play against Endicott. I mean, last year there were about 4 or 5 plays that decided that game last year. But on the field wise, Catholic, well, they belong with Endicott. So they're not going to be intimidated by Endicott. It should be a fun football game. But again, Endicott and Catholic, 2 powerhouse programs in Louisiana going against each other for the second year in a row. In the semifinals, and the car will host again. St. Augustine, John Curtis will have a rematch after playing in the Catholic League this year, and I believe St. Augustine won that game pretty lopsided against John Curtis, which is hard to do. And I think St. Aug has won 2 in a row against John Curtis, and they're trying to make it 3 in a row against John Curtis. So it was 55-28 in the first game of the regular season rematch. So I don't think it's going to be that lopsided. You just can't go against J.T. Curtis and the Patriots, but Coach Valdez got those Purple Knights rolling right now. It's going to be a fun matchup. That is something we'll break down as well a whole lot on Tuesday. So that is your Final Four Division I select, St. Augustine, John Curtis. And you got Catholic High and Edna Carr. So those are your playoff matchups right there for the semifinals. For more breakdown on those games, we'll be streaming. I believe it's going to be Tuesday. So until I say anything else, otherwise, plan on 8 o'clock on Tuesday. Myself, Spencer Verrett. I will get maybe the Under the Lights folks and some J.K. Lee, some of the other people joining us on the show on Tuesday. We have a big group of people joining us for a show breaking down all these playoff matchups in the semifinals. We'll try to have some fun next week, so make sure to join us on Tuesday. So appreciate everybody that's tuning in. We've got a lot of people tuning in right now, but we're about to end the show. So before I end the show, might as well show you some highlights from the game, right? So this is the game I called on Varsity Sports Now. It was St. James and Oak Grove. St. James won the football game 57-13, and it was pretty lopsided. I mean, Jawan Jackson himself a great football game. He was efficient. The Villanova brothers combined for 6 touchdowns. They really got it going. So enjoy this highlights. This is actually from my game I was at tonight. So 57-13, St. James over Oak Grove. Enjoy this as we'll end tonight's show.
The tight end, the receiver, they blocked well on that one.
And there's a younger brother. There's a younger Villanova. He punches it in. Touchdown, Wildcats. St. James strikes first. You get Jacaius Villanova and mix it in with his younger brother, Jaden Villanova, for 6. Now Jackson's going to attack downfield. He's got a wide open receiver for 6 points. Touchdown, Wildcats. Jawan Jackson with the deep touchdown dime deep down the field. It's Kanye Zenion, number 2 with the touchdown catch one-on-one, and just good luck trying to recover a receiver there at all, Camille. First down to 10. They're going to run the football with Villanova. Bouncing off. Villanova is still on his feet. What a run for Jaden Villanova. Villanova trying to get in the end zone, and he does. What a play from the sophomore running back, Jaden Villanova. The quarterback sneak here. They don't. They hand it off to Villanova. He gets hit from behind, and it surges him forward for the touchdown. Touchdown, Wildcats. And the train horns are blaring right now for Villanova. Jaden Villanova's third rushing touchdown of this first quarter.
Now,
kickoff. With a squib kick right in the middle. And the Wildcats trying to get a good return and then some more. The 30 to 20 to 10. That is going to be gone. Touchdown, Wildcats. Number 83, Kamon Mitchell, the sophomore receiver.
You're set up for success against the pass.
Up and over and into the end zone. Touchdown, Wildcats. But here's a Rouse's Bargain instant replay. Right down the line for touchdown run number 4 for Villanova. Right, in terms of offensive skill players, for sure, we talk about a team like Endicott. There's a fade in the back of the end zone. Was that caught? It was! Touchdown, Wildcats, and guess who it finally is? Number 4, Jakias Villanova. It was about time for number 4 to get in the end zone. He does. Just throw it up to number 4. Touchdown catch number 15, number 26 overall this season. Look at number 4 go up and get it.
And if they had cashed in a few of those 2-point plays, we'd be talking about a 50-burger right now.
But it's been totally one-sided for the Wildcats. Cullen's name too much here tonight, the defensive end. There's a slant to Villanova, and boy, look out! Villanova puts on the burst and scores a touchdown. Touchdown, Wildcats.
Got a little bunch set here into the boundary.
But they're going to run the football instead, and they have him standing up in the end zone. Touchdown, Xavier Johnson. Touchdown, St. James Wildcats.
So there you go. Good way to end the show. Calling the game there for Varsity Sports Now. So that will do it here for me. Make sure, guys, make sure to subscribe to whatever you're watching us for Gridiron Football. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure to follow us at Gridiron Football USA.com as well. Appreciate everybody that's watching. Thank you so much. Tommy's Windows for sponsoring us here at Gridiron Football. Enjoy the rest of your night. The quarterfinal action, we recap that tonight. We'll go to semis next week. Thank you to everybody that's joined us on the show here tonight. Lucas Hill, one of coaches Taylor James, Andy Martin. I'm Jace LeJeune. For Ballin the Boot, we'll see y'all guys on Tuesday as we'll preview all these semifinal games next week. Have yourself a good night and a good rest of your football weekend.